could be stuck in a permanent state of you can't improve your building code. And if you try, you're going to get sued.
There's a lot with that bill. And Palma, being our building expert here in Margate, we were talking a little bit off camera, and she had some emotions, I guess, on this. Do you want to go, Palma, as far as what your thoughts are on this?
Yeah, I mean, I can see where it would be challenging because local codes, there's different types, whether it's state regulations or city regulations, and then there's also international codes. So it's tough to see how a bill could kind of dictate how the whole state is going to develop. And I guess I would also wonder, like, does this affect like just private homeowners too, like redeveloping their own property, or is it more on like grand scale projects?
It's more of a grand scale thing. Think about the issue of like a community having a comprehensive development master plan, which says the houses here can be up to 3 stories. The houses here need to have a certain amount of setback before you hit the street, or you can have this many trees in your property, or you have to pass a law to cut them down. We're talking those kind of things. This law isn't going to impact homeowners' ability to rebuild. In fact, some of the things in this law could make it easier for individual property owners to rebuild after a storm, some of the streamlining and cutting of red bureaucratic tape that I mentioned earlier. So individual homeowners might see some changes they like when it comes to recovery from a storm, but local governments who are trying to make changes, not at the state level, not at the federal level, not at the international code level, but just we as a community have decided this area floods a lot. Maybe we want to ask people to hold more stormwater on their property, design so they can hold more rain. That's the kind of stuff that we're hearing from local counties that this bill would block them from doing. I don't know, Ryan, if you have anything to add to that, of what you've already seen in Manatee County getting blocked by this.
Yeah, I would say one example, for instance, is we have, we're a county of about 450,000 people right now. It's been growing extremely rapidly to the point where the infrastructure isn't necessarily keeping up with all the new development and growth. And the county wants to put back this basically development boundary where they say you can't do large scale development past this point out east because we don't have the infrastructure to support that yet. And they're being blocked by this bill because they're saying that's more burdensome or restrictive than what you already have on the books. So it's really affecting the future of how local governments are able to plan their communities.
Very, very interesting. What I want to do is I have a question, but I do want to take a break. So we're going to take a brief break. Then the other side, we'll get more into this with Alex Harris and Ryan Balog about what's going on in Florida and coastal resiliency. And we are back. We are continuing our conversation about the Senate Bill 180 that was signed into law in Florida over the summer relating to building back after hurricanes. This could be for either you, Ryan, or Alex here. So I don't know. Is this the way to think about it? I mean, you said the bill, Alex, had a lot of good things in there, right, regarding to building back better. At the same time, is it from the state's perspective or from the Senate's perspective, some of those things that you just mentioned, is that from the standpoint of saying, hey, we don't want the local community, we don't want a patchwork of different laws here. We want this to be one uniform law for the state of Florida. Would that be the rationale for that? Or is it just something completely different?
That's a really good question. And that's actually something that Ryan and I set out to answer when we wrote that story. We're like, okay, we're hearing a lot of complaints, right? Planning groups, communities, they're all really upset about this, but there's got to be a good reason that the legislators originally wrote this law. So we talked to both. I talked to one, he talked to the other, the sponsor in the House and the Senate, and both of them told us they had no idea. No one had ever mentioned to them that there was any unintended consequences. There could be any unintended consequences with this change, but they both talked about overregulation. They both specifically mentioned that sometimes they were worried that after a storm, communities might say, well, they brought up all the hypotheticals, right? Like after a storm, a community may say, hey, pause on building in this storm hit area. Let's just not do any new development there for a year or two and see where things land. They were really worried about that being an issue. But I mean, Ryan can tell you, we never really found a specific example of something that they were upset about that they were trying to block. It was more